Well, let's talk about. So,
Talk about the
some,
elephant in the room.
what's that?
Talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay, so we haven't done a podcast in a while, and over July 4th weekend, we were in Tennessee and had some family down, Harrison, Madeline, and everybody else included. And
They're friends, Madeline and
they're
Harrison's
friends. And a few weeks before, our fourth boy, Johnny, had decided it'd be really cool to put a rope swing at next to the lake. And Emily and I spent a few hours down there trying to figure it out. Johnny burned up all my nice braided 10-pound fishing line with an arrow trying to get this rope over. So anyway, it turned a bit of an ordeal, but we finally got it up to something there, and it worked for him, but it wasn't great. But so the other boys, when they came down to the fourth, decided to improve upon it, and they spent some time down there doing it. And Harrison
Multiple hours.
Harrison volunteered to test it out, and his first test swing went not great, but okay. Second test swing resulted in a pretty significant injury. So,
Yep.
and Harrison proceeded to dislocate his shoulder and had to go to the ER and experience the healthcare at its finest in Roane County.
Hey, they were really good.
No, I'm not knocking it. No, I'm saying they're really good.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
They did
Nice.
great.
I want to give a shout out to Brandon, the nurse, the guy
he is
nurse
a
that
nice
was there.
guy.
He's never going to hear this podcast,
Yeah.
but he was fantastic.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah. I mean, we spent hours down there trying to figure out the trajectory and if the rope was long enough, and so much so that we were moving trees, like big trees.
Oh yeah, they don't know. They moved trees.
Like
let's hope.
Like cutting down a tree.
So let's hope if Brandon doesn't listen to the TVA really doesn't listen to this podcast.
And then moving the tree with the jet ski. And then yeah, it was just a mess.
Okay, I don't
We
know
were down there.
who what adult was down there actually watching
Hey,
this whole thing.
I was down there watching.
I could have told when I saw the
Wait.
video of what happened. I was like,
We
I could have told you this was going to end
No,
badly.
we were so sure that it was gonna work.
Listen, we had an engineer down there. Bush is an engineer.
We were so sure.
Whatever.
Bush's reassurance helped me out a lot in terms of going and doing.
But see,
it.
when I did it with Johnny, I walked the rope down with my weight, and I was like, there's no way in hell this is going to work unless you have a platform you can stand on. It's not going to work because the rope stretches. You know, the branch gives, and I'm like, you're going to hit the ground before you ever get to the water.
Yeah.
Not you, but I'm saying when Johnny was doing it, and I was like, you don't have a tree over the water enough. The hill isn't steep enough.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the problem. Or alternatively, if you had a flat spot, and then you can swing out.
Yeah.
I mean, but you just there's no great solution, and that's where.
Yep.
I mean, even if you look at it from the water, you go, this would probably work, but then it just doesn't. I mean, you don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we thought we tested it a lot. We threw the rope swing down, and the first time I did it, the tree was still.
You hit the ground.
The tree was still there. So let me paint a picture. When you go down to the lake at the house, there is a road that is kind of in a C formation, and it goes down one way, down the other way. And so it was on the ladder on the other road behind the first one, and the hill is like fairly steep, at least we thought it was steep enough. And we had to cut down a tree in order to not run into that tree while going down it, while testing out the rope swing. So we cut it down, but when we cut it down, the tree got in the way of the path. And so we said, oh, whatever, it's fine. Let's just test it out and see what happens. So I tested it out the first time, and I hit my shin on that tree. It hurt, but it was good, and I landed in the water, and I was like, okay, this actually could work, maybe. Turns out the tree was actually the thing that was saving me and making it so it basically broke my fall.
Yeah.
And so that's why
the first time?
Yeah. So that's why the second time I go around and the tree is not there, and I twist and my left shoulder hits the ground, and then I kind of just spin into the water.
Yeah, it was bad.
So the ground dislocated your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the twisting motion.
No.
No, I hit the ground.
No, he hit the ground.
Jesus.
Yeah. But it's so funny though because
That's awful because you hit your shoulder on the ground.
Well, no other part of my body hit the ground except my shoulder. Like it wasn't like the shoulder took my fall. It was just like I just ran into the ground and then spun into the water.
You know what sucks though is that
no other part of my body hit the ground.
We talk about these things. We talked about it with Johnny, and as an adult, I said, you're cynical as an adult, and you can see things that could happen. Now, 9 times out of 10, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
But it's that one time that you go, you don't want to stifle creativity or any of that stuff. But at the same time, I can see things happening. And Johnny is, when you're young like that, their first response is nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen until it does.
Yeah.
And that's been always with my stuff is like, you got to be, it's just you can see things coming a mile away as an adult.
Well,
Yep.
if the first one did not go nearly as well as it did, I would not have done it again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I just kept thinking, Bluish is an engineer. He's going to tell us if it's not going to work.
Bluish ain't gonna say
I
nothing?
surely thought no, he was invested too. I surely thought that I would the ground was not low enough,
Yeah,
especially
but
once the tree was removed.
Yeah, but if you walked it down to the water, couldn't you? If your shoulder hit the ground,
Yeah, that's what. It's just very weird. I think that
if you had walked it down and like been hanging on it and going, this isn't going to work. I mean, I'm going to have to.
Well, we didn't do that.
Because that's what I did with
because-
Johnny. I was like, you can swing out around to try and get altitude basically to make it out over the water. But if you go straight down, you're going to hit the ground way at this length. You're going to hit the ground way before you ever get to the water.
Well, that's what.
Not you. I'm sorry, Johnny's.
Right. Well, we were thinking about doing that, and we've talked about this before, but there were so many signs that we should not have continued.
there
Yeah.
were so many signs
So
from
see,
God.
God put that tree there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say,
And
don't do
so-
it. But
and
you guys
so-
decided.
No, that wasn't
damn
even
the
start.
torpedoes.
That wasn't even the
And
start.
so me and Holden, were the main ones working on this rope swing, and we were cutting down this tree. We used the hatchet that eventually broke, and then
No, okay, no,
we
no,
started
no, no,
using-
no, back up.
And then we used the
It's a hatchet I've had for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's not really a hatchet, it's a throwing.
Okay, well, whatever.
So it didn't, it broke all right. The entire blade cracked in
Holden
half.
told me it was a hatchet, so I was like, oh, whatever. And then we used a handsaw to cut down the tree. That probably took like a solid 45 minutes to an hour. And the reason why it took that long
Why?
was because we were going, we were hitting the tree really hard, trying to get it down, and then all of a sudden we started getting stings everywhere, and we didn't know what they were. And so we were like,
God, the hornet's nest. God's up there going, I
Yeah.
gave you a bunch of signs.
Yeah,
I sent a tree. I sent hornets.
Well, at first we were like, Holden got one sting, and I was like, that's weird. He was like, yeah, dude, it's really hurt. I was like, well, whatever. Just come back down. It's fine. And then we kept going at it, and then maybe like a few minutes later, all of a sudden we're just like, oh, and like, we run up the hill, and we're like, what the heck was it? And I'm getting like stung everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Calvin's like, and he's getting stung, and so it's happening everywhere. My mom's trying to like pat Calvin down, like stop
Throw
him
him in the
freaking out.
water.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
it was so we got stung, and funny enough, I got stung 4 times. I got stung on my hand, the front of my right leg, the back of my right leg, and then on my pec right here. But it was just like a half a sting, so it's not even a thing. But they've been itching this week, which is funny.
Those things can be gnarly, though,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
I mean,
Holden's
Yeah.
hand swelled up.
Yeah,
his
it
foot
was
his
bad.
ankle swells. It's sore.
And so then we look down, and there's just a swarm
Swarm
of
of-
these hornets
yeah,
Around the tree?
on the ground. Yeah.
There's a swarm of them, and so
On the legit on the ground or
Yeah.
yes, on the ground.
Yeah,
There's
on the
a
ground.
around the tree?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a swarm of them down there, and so we got some.
Well, spray.
It's funny is that you would have thought that we would have stopped. Like I don't know what overcame me to do this. I think it's one of those.
I wish
things-
I'd have been done. I was like, everybody go
I think
upstairs.
it's
Go
one, I think,
back up
I think
there.
it's one of those things where you're just so invested, and
Yeah.
there's a chance of it
Yes.
possibly working. That if it does work, it could be so
So
cool.
Yes, but what is
monumental,
the
yeah.
payoff though? That's what
The
I don't
payoff is that it
understand.
worked.
But it
and
worked.
it's
It was
cool.
going to be so cool.
I don't know, man.
And
We
so,
conquered. We
yeah,
would've
and so
conquered,
we got wasp spray or hornets or whatever.
I wonder why that was
Sprayed it-
down there.
Sprayed it all. We used the entire can. Sprayed it all
Of course
down
you
there, and then we eventually cut down the tree by hooking up the 4-wheeler or whatever it's called to the tree, and then driving.
That's
it
how
down
you
the
guys
hill.
did it?
Yeah, driving it down the hill.
You guys, you're all
It
fired.
wasn't a clean cut. So
No, it wasn't a
Mom-
clean cut.
So mom got a jet ski, got on the lake, and tied the tree to the jet ski.
I wonder why the hell the ski rope was attached to the freaking thing.
And then,
That jet ski's
then-
brand new.
and then
gosh.
eventually, I did my second run, and I ended up just
Biffing it.
Yeah, just
I'm sure the neighbors are like,
What was the other?
in
We
hell?
had like all these signs, and we went back and thought about it.
And
We
what's
thought
funny-
it was
well-
the hornets. It was the axe breaking. It was
the.
I feel like there were other
we had
things
to
too.
we had to redo it once.
Yeah.
And it was just bad. I mean,
That's just bad.
and what's funny is that as soon as I got into the water, I knew that it was not like typical shoulder injury.
Oh, you were in agony.
Oh, I knew that I was just like, nope, this isn't right. Because
When they brought you up there, I remember going,
I tried bending it down. And I couldn't
Emily
do it.
doesn't move quickly usually for injuries, and she was moving quickly. I was like, oh no, this is bad. And you guys, when we helped you into the car with the life jacket on and your arm up, I was like, oh God.
Well, everybody was moving quickly, and honestly, everybody said I took it like a champ.
You did.
So didn't cry.
Yep.
So
It was, yeah, it was.
Was it immediate?
Sarah Beth was, kudos to Sarah Beth.
Yeah.
She was very helpful.
I think it's one of those things where at first it's like it hurts, and then you start to think like, oh God, like I'm in the water, my life vest is half undone, and I have to get out somehow.
Yeah.
And Mom's over here like, no, step on the jet ski, I'll get you out. I'm like, Mom, please, I can't. And then I start laughing just because of how ridiculous it is, and then the pain sets back in. I'm like, oh no. But
Was it immediate relief when you woke up?
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, you could see it on his face.
yeah.
It was just like
Because when you came in with the
he
sling,
he
you're
actually
just like,
fell
"Ah."
asleep. He was falling asleep, and
yeah.
at the hospital, and when he was, they were like, it was going to take like 3 minutes to do, but they wanted Sarah Beth and I to leave the room, so we left, and they still didn't call me back, and they still didn't call me back, and then over the speaker I hear this code stroke, and I'm like, oh hell, what is going on? And so then I went to the lady and I was like, can you just tell me, because I had given myself a time frame. I'm like, all right, if they don't come and get me in 15 minutes, I'm going to go say something. And then that code stroke thing came on over the head, and I was like, oh, just
I did know
horrible
that.
things started coming into my
Right.
head. So then I go to
know
the lady
that.
and I'm like, you need to go find out if he's okay. That's all I care about. I don't need to be back there. I just need to know he's okay.
Right.
And then she comes back. She's like, you can go back there. And I go back there, and he's like asleep. Like it's like just immediate relief. Yeah, exactly. He was just like asleep.
It was nice. It was. I mean, yeah.
So it
It
was,
sucks. Those kinds of events, it's funny. That's what makes life so interesting, but so terribly painful too. at the
and Sarah
same
Beth
time.
was just so fantastic and
Yeah.
so kind and so willing to put herself out there and be like, he needs more pain meds. Like
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah,
She was-
perfect.
She was good. Yeah, because I have not been in that much pain for that amount of time in a very long time. Because usually I'm so
when
used
were you in
because
that
you-
amount of pain before?
Because usually, well, I would say the most recently the rope swing, but
Oh,
when
with your back.
with my back, yeah. But
Oh.
I fell off because with that, like it eventually subsides and I'm okay.
Just
Like,
like a
I
constant pain.
I can deal with it and like it goes away, right? Like I'm good. But with this, like I'm waiting for that moment, but like it's not coming, and it didn't come for like an hour and a half, 2
Yeah.
hours.
3.
3 hours, and so I'm sitting
Yeah.
there with my hand above my head with it hurts like crazy, and the drugs definitely helped. But once the first they gave me a round of drugs, I don't know, maybe like as soon as I
Yeah.
got there, like 30
Yeah.
minutes after I got there.
Right.
And an hour later, those wore off, so I had to get more of those. And once they wore off, it really started to hurt again, and so I had to get more drugs.
Why did it take 3 hours?
They had to call in
Yeah.
a nurse anesthetist.
Oh,
So they had to call in her, which took a while, and it was just a mess, man. I
Yeah.
don't want to. Yeah.
So anyway, Sarah Beth and occupied him talking about The Bachelor, and it was hilarious listening to those two talk about The Bachelor.
Mm.
They were like, "Oh yeah, I can't stand this guy," and then she'd be like, "Oh yeah, so and so, yeah, and they were going back and forth like all these characters back and forth for like at least an hour talking about The Bachelor. So that was a great
Mm. Yeah.
distraction.
that's crazy.
But yeah, she was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, she'll
I
be
could-
really good at it. She'll be really
She's
good.
gonna
I
be- yeah.
could not have. Oh man, when we were on the way to the hospital, I wanted to get there so badly, but we got behind some of the slowest cars possible. Oh my gosh!
Those
I almost
people
yelled
were
out
on,
the
like, a
window.
Sunday
I
drive.
almost yelled out the window. I was like, "Get out of the way,
You could always
please."
put your hazards on, just go around. them.
Yeah. Well, we did that once we got to the 2-lane road.
And just blast it.
But
Just say,
you couldn't. There was nowhere.
Ugh.
I mean, if you have an emergency situation like that, I would just put your
Yeah.
hazards on, beep, and then go
Well,
around.
all I
them.
kept thinking was, great, I'll get in a car accident, and then we're all in
Yeah.
trouble. So
Yeah.
anyway,
But now I'm doing okay.
now you're doing great.
I'm doing okay.
So
They popped it back in place. The aching and whatnot has subsided, but the
Is it tight?
it's very tight when I lift it up
Ugh,
like that.
don't do that.
And honestly, like, I mean,
don't do
it
that.
doesn't. I mean, I think the physical therapy will definitely help. The doctor gave me 2 options. I could either do physical therapy or do surgery. And the worst part about these types of injuries is that you never know if / when it'll dislocate again. And so
Well, assuming that
assuming
because you tore your labrum, you got to
yeah,
add
so I
that in
tore
there.
my and the labrum is a special kind of tissue that is inside of your socket that holds it specifically in place so that you have that range of motion, and that it doesn't fall out of place. So,
yep. So there it is.
gonna undergo physical therapy for a few weeks, see how that goes, and if that doesn't go well, then we'll get surgery.
You know what's interesting is there's so many people that have had their shoulders dislocated.
There's a decent amount, and some of them don't. Well, not even their shoulder dislocated, but some of them have had their labrums torn without even dislocation, and they don't even know it until they go in. You know, and they tell them, which I think that's worse. I think if you tear your labrum and your shoulder's out of socket, or it's in socket, I think that's worse.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like a very uncommon thing.
Right.
Which got me thinking. Last summer, I was on the tube and I fell off in a wonky way, and I hurt my shoulder a little bit, and it still hurts like to this day when I'm doing like anything with my shoulder with weights and whatnot, and it's super like minor pain, like it's like like it kind of feels weird, whatever. I wonder if I did something to like my rotator cuff or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I did that something years ago in college. I was doing one of those kinds of with dumbbells, and ever since then I've always had to be really careful.
Yeah,
because it's stupid. Like I remember doing that, and I went to do something like make my bed, and I'm like fluffing the sheets. And, it hurts.
That's what I'm worried about is like doing like the bed or reaching over to doing something in a weird way, and then it
Well, but the good news though is your level of fitness is pretty high. I mean, so it's not as if.
And I've read a bunch of stories of people saying, I didn't get physical therapy, or I didn't do surgery. I just did intense physical therapy for a long time and started lifting heavier weights to build that muscle and tissue around my shoulder, and it's been fine for years now. And so I think
possible.
I think the fact that I already have some solid muscle around my shoulder helps. I don't know if the way that I dislocated it helps at all, but
it is what it is. And I think the important thing is just to focus on what you have to do to make it better.
You now, like me, are the permanent boat driver.
yeah,
No more boating activities for you.
no,
Well, you might be able to like wake surf because you don't have to hold on to a
yeah,
rope.
I can. Well,
Like stuff like that, like
yeah.
where you don't have to hold something that extends your
Yeah.
arms.
Well, no, but you could. But if your arm though, I mean, if you wake surf, you're going. The
5 miles, 7 miles an hour.
the wave is basically propelling you.
Yeah,
You're not
I mean,
being pulled.
I think I could probably wakeboard if I want to, but I think tubing was already on the way out anyway.
Yeah.
You get to an age where that's not fun anymore because
Yeah.
it's only fun when you're getting beat up, and then after a while. I remember one of the last times I tubed, we were on Syracuse Lake, and then I think Jim Dawson was pulling or something. Somebody was pulling. We went around, and I hit a wave and flipped off and hit my back and landed on my back and skimmed, and then I remember I was like, I'm done. I mean, it was just too.
Yeah.
Too intense.
I'm more inclined to go do like the rope swing on that one island or go cliff jumping or something like that.
Yeah. I could see cliff jumping. No more rope swinging.
I can rope swing off the one at the island. I'm not gonna hurt myself.
You could.
Not if I go.
Well,
off
if you
on
hold
the
it, like I
wells
saw a guy go off, and he basically held it. You go off, and then you're holding it like this, the rope.
Yes, your arms aren't extended.
Yeah, so you hold it, and then you let go.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then all
Yeah.
the kids, it's so funny because I took Holden's friends over there, and it was just hysterical because you don't realize how high up you get at that
and then you go up
swing.
there.
And one of the girls, I forget which one, because I was taping them all to give to Holden, and she gets out there and she gets out over the water and she goes, "Holy shit!" And it fell into the water. It's great.
Yeah, I've told myself though that I'm pretty nervous to do anything now with my shoulder. I mean, it can be anything. So I think that just building up that confidence very slowly.
Well,
will
that'll
help.
take time. A few years from now.
It's very similar to. It's not as extensive or not as extreme, but very similar to my hamstring or when I pulled my hamstring a while back. I did it once and I did it again, and I was like, oh god. I was like, okay.
Although that goes away. I remember when I had my knee surgery, like when we'd go work out, I never ran, I never did anything like that.
Yeah.
And you'll slowly start to test it. And I mean, I'll run now. I mean, I'll like run a loop like yesterday, and I can do that. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I just definitely with certain movements, and it happens rarely, but it still does happen. I'll feel it. If
Your hamstring?
If I do something like maybe at basketball, I take a wrong step or something, like it'll just like, I don't know. I can feel it.
Well, but I mean, some of those, that's what's interesting is that certain activities like that, if you don't do them all the time, I mean, those movements like that, that's how guys, tear their Achilles because they would go play ball and they would play ball.
And what I did with my hamstring was I stopped doing basketball for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
With my hamstring, and I went to the weight room and I just focused on building up my legs and whatnot, and I feel like that really helped. So I think I'm gonna take that same
long term.
mentality
That'll give you way more benefit than.
So I think I'm gonna do that with my arm or with my shoulder.
And I mean, and the good news is that you'll reach a certain age where you're really not trying to. You're just trying to maintain your fitness level. I mean, if you want to maintain your weight or whatever, and weight training is great for that,
right?
For your joint health and all that stuff. So that'll help you way better than like playing basketball. So
I'm very interested to see what this physical therapy is tomorrow.
Yeah.
They'll push you a little bit.
I know,
but,
that's
you know,
what-
but
yeah.
it's okay. I mean, they're there to make, for you to make progress.
Right.
So it's not going to be comfortable necessarily, but they
Oh,
won't
no,
hurt
I
you
don't
either.
think so. Oh yeah. Well,
Where are you going for physical
just
therapy?
to the Ortho Indy down the street.
Oh, in Ortho Indy, they have people
Yeah.
there. That's
Well,
cool.
at the Ortho Indy, they have the urgent care, and then right next to that building, or a part of that building, but cut off, is physical therapy.
Where is it
Okay.
at now?
It's right down the street.
At the
from here?
Riverview
Yeah,
Hospital,
yeah,
right there.
Yeah, right down there.
Oh, okay.
So
Very cool.
keep everybody updated.
There you go.